If you're here watching this video, it means that you are probably going through some awful shitty stuff. I know I am. When I was planning this video about starting over, I realized that it didn't just have to apply to loss, it could apply to a lot of different people and situations. For me personally, I'm kind of trying to hit the reset button after the death of my daughter and my parents, and because I'm now an empty nester and I am firmly in that midlife mode, unfortunately, and I think I'm kidding. I literally just had to pick up the packet for my colonoscopy next week. So nothing really screams freaking midlife like a colonoscopy. Anyway, so starting over can relate to a job loss. It could be the end of an important relationship. It can be lots of different things. So what we want to talk about today is kind of how to hit that reset button if you look around and you just need a change with where you are right now. Stay tuned. Tip number 1, embrace the suck. I know, it sounds funny, but it really isn't. Whatever you're going through that is making you want to push the reset button and start over in your life probably really sucks. And you need to let yourself feel that. One of the keys to grieving is not to rush through it, not to ignore it, to go at your own pace, and to allow yourself time to feel those crappy, horrible, sad emotions. Pushing reset isn't going to mask what happened. It isn't going to make it go away. But what it is going to do is allow you to start moving forward. It is a crucial step in acknowledging the past and acknowledging the pain that goes along with the past in order to move forward. As Megan Devine says, it's okay to not be okay. It is okay to be miserable. It is okay to grieve. Allow yourself time to do that. If you need to set aside specific time to do that, where you can fall apart, by all means, go ahead and do it. I absolutely do. And if you don't believe me, I will leave a link to a video where I have a complete meltdown and I tell you all about it so you can watch that. So I am certainly no stranger to allowing myself to feel those sucky grief feelings. So that is step number 1. Don't ignore the problem. Feel the pain of the problem and embrace that suck. Number 2, learn the lessons that life is trying to teach you. I know this is going to be a hard pill to swallow for some people, myself included, because I do not buy the everything happens for a reason bullshit. I am the biggest hater of that phrase. But grief can shift your perspective about things and teach you things if you choose to pay attention.
Now pay attention.
For example, maybe you've learned you need to slow down in life. You are too busy, you're going too fast, and you need to slow the hell down. Or do you need to spend more time with loved ones because you've realized that that is what is most important? Do you have more empathy and compassion now because now you have a perspective of what other people might be going through? Do you need to spend more time doing things that you love and that you enjoy because you've realized how fucking precious our time really is and that it can be cut short at any time? Deep loss can be extremely transformative and it can teach you lessons if you allow it to. If nothing else, please take it from me. Learn from your situation that you are badass and you are resilient because you are still here and you are surviving and you are still going even through what you've been through. Okay, the next strategy gets more into the nitty-gritty of things you can actually do, but this is create new routines and try new things. I know it sounds very cliche, but just with my own example, I moved into my tiny house. I didn't really know anyone around here. I had no one watching over my shoulder to see what I was doing. And there were a lot of days where I just sort of laid on my sofa and binge watched TV and never got out of my pajamas. And then after a while, I was thinking to myself, like, I had all these grand plans for doing things like, oh, I'm going to do yoga every day and I'm going to go out for a walk on a trail every day and whatever. And none of that was happening. It was just so easy because there was no one there motivating me to just sit on my ass and do nothing, honestly. So what I did, okay, I am a total nerd. So I will leave a picture of the schedule that I came up with, but I literally made myself a daily schedule. It is summer. Normally I'm a teacher, so I'm busy all day and then I only have my evenings. But in the summer, I had all this free time and I needed to fill it so that I didn't completely isolate myself because I found myself getting depressed when I did that. So I made my super dorky, nerdy schedule.
My God, you are such a nerd.
And I put on there just a few things to kind of change up what I was doing. So nothing really difficult. I just sort of added some things that I wanted to do to make myself a little bit healthier and less isolated. So for example, I started taking some exercise classes with some older women at a rec center near where I live. So I joined there. It has a pool, so I can go to the pool if I feel like doing that. And again, it's not like I'm pumping iron with a bunch of ripped people at the gym because that would be super intimidating for me, but I can go and lift some weights and do some bands with some 60-year-olds and feel pretty good. And so that is what I've been doing as far as like moving my body because I know it's healthy to move my body. I've also been walking with a friend once a week, and that is amazing because it gets that, social connection, and we're also getting exercise. And because I live in kind of a park area, it used to actually be a campground, there are trails and roads around here that I, every now and then go and walk around and do that. So exercise wise, that was kind of my plan, just plan a little bit to move my body more. Socially, I've been doing quite a few things with other people, more than I normally have been, just to kind of get myself out there. I've actually also been kind of experimenting with doing things on my own, which before empty nesting, I would really never do that ever. So I've been going to different shows and concerts that I want to see just by myself. And I'm finding, surprisingly, that I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy going by myself. I also kind of on the work front, because I want to be productive, I have been doing tours of the different coffee shops in the area where I moved to. So I just kind of take my bag and my laptop and all my stuff, and I go and head to the coffee shops, and I just sit there for a couple hours and work on my social media and work on my book. And I find that I get so much more done when I'm outside of the house and kind of working in that situation than I am when I'm actually at home and I can stop and putter around doing other things that aren't really important. So again, your schedule doesn't have to be anything like my schedule, but just the creating of the routine and then trying to stick to that. It doesn't have to be super rigid. If something comes up, I don't follow my routine for that day, and that's totally fine. I give myself grace with that. But it's nice to have everything kind of planned and laid out so that, again, you're not isolating, you're not just sitting on your couch, and you're kind of working towards a slightly better future than the one you thought was possible. The next tip is probably super obvious, but it is so, so important, and that is cultivate relationships. It can be any kind of relationship. It can be your relationships with your family, with your friends. It can be your coworkers. It can be an online support group. But honestly, when you are going through grief, or when you're trying to start over, or if you're just trying to do something new with your life, it is so insanely important to know that you have some sort of support system. So like I said, even if that support system comes from people online and just interacting with people on Facebook or Instagram or whatever you use to interact with people, whatever the young kids are doing these days, go ahead and do that. I personally, like I said, I have made an actual effort, like where I plan to meet a friend at least once a week to go do something social, and that has been great. I'm an introvert, so I feel you if this is like, oh, I don't want to hang out in the real world. I normally don't like being social at all, but I'm kind of forcing myself to get out there. And what I'm finding is that I really enjoy it once I'm there. And if I don't, then heck, I did something different. I at least feel like I didn't waste my time just sitting around the house feeling sorry for myself. So again, if you want to kind of push your life in a different direction, find people that are supportive of that, or even try to find people who are interested in new things that you're interested in and try to make those connections.
You were right before. Friends are so important.
Okay, I think we're on 6. I hope 6 here. Anyway, so the next one is to set goals. So goal setting, I know people talk about this all the time too, but it also is really important, and it doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds. For me, I always kind of resisted setting goals because I was always so disappointed. They kind of freaked me out, and I got panicked about meeting them and then felt really bad about myself if I didn't. So I've kind of learned with this to break things down into setting like smaller goals, maybe a few months away, versus long-term goals. So taking the time to actually sit and think about what you want from your life. Like if you could have anything that you want, if you could design your perfect life, kind of start there and then work your way backwards and narrow it down to little steps that you can take to start helping you to achieve those goals. And maybe you won't get to that perfect life that you had always dreamed of, but you will always be making steps forward towards something that's going to make you a little bit happier. And I find that rather than stressing me out now, it kind of gives me more of a sense of purpose, which is really nice when you're kind of floundering in the misery of being in deep grief. Kind of giving yourself something to shoot for instead of feeling like life is completely freaking hopeless is helpful. So try setting those goals. If you don't want to think about a big one, or you can't even imagine a future where you're actually happy, which trust me, I 100% get where you are because I feel like that a lot. Like I said, mine's practical because mine's like, I want to retire and be able to like, not eat cat food. So mine's like a more practical goal kind of thing. So if that's all you can do for now, go for the practical goals. It still gives you something to kind of work for every day. Okay, and my last point might be a little bit controversial because I'm kind of going against the grain of what a lot of grief and trauma and loss books say. So most experts will tell you not to make any major decisions about anything within, a short time span of something traumatic happening to you. So in my case, obviously losing my daughter. I did not listen to that advice at all. So my advice to you, my last piece of advice, is to trust your gut and trust your instincts. Me personally, right after Libby died, I got divorced right away. My ex-husband and I split up. That was my decision, and Libby's death just made it crystal clear. And when my boys were both graduating and I knew I was going to have an empty nest, I looked around my big 5-bedroom house and was like, I don't want to do this. And I made a pretty quick decision to buy a tiny house, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it's definitely like uprooting your whole life and doing something completely different. So I've made some pretty darn big decisions within a short time period. And honestly, they have been some of the best decisions that I have ever made. And so while a lot of people will tell you to be patient and wait and whatever, my advice would be trust your gut. Because, I've found that traumatic and devastating experiences, a lot of times, kind of going back to the what is life trying to teach you, what lessons can you learn? One of my lessons has been to trust my instincts.
You just have to trust your gut.
In my experience, at least, and this might not be your experience, so you don't have to take my word for it, but for me, my losses, my trauma, my grief, it has actually put into perspective what I am and am not willing to put up with and deal with. And it has made me focus a lot more on my own needs instead of what other people need. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing, actually. And I think that Libby would be really proud of me for doing some of the things that I've done. I wish that I wouldn't have had to do anything because she died, but her death made some things come into very clear focus very quickly for me. And I knew at the time I was making the right decisions. And if I would have waited, I think I would be a lot unhappier. So take that advice for what you will, because it does honestly go against the grain of what other people say to do. But maybe, like me, your grief will kind of laser focus what you wanted out of your life, and you'll be a lot less afraid to go for it. For me, it's kind of like, I don't really give a fuck anymore. I'm just gonna kind of do what I need to do. So whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I feel like it's good. Anything that is teaching you to live your life, you know, in the way that you want is a good thing in my book. So part of that for me, part of my goal is to help you guys through this channel and my blog and all the things that I'm doing with Grieving Mommy. So if you found this video helpful, it would mean so much to me if you could subscribe or like it or leave a comment. It really does help the channel to grow so that I can reach out and help other people who are in this situation. I really appreciate you guys tuning in like always, and I will see you again soon. Sending love and hugs. Good luck with it, whatever you are trying to do to kind of gain a new shift in your life and head somewhere that you haven't before. I am proud of you. You can do it. I'll see you guys later.